Hey y'all, this is Courtney, aka the most beautiful girl in the world. I'm James Roy, and this is the Noise Date Night Edition, where a show where we review our movies that we've seen on our weekly date nights, and we tell you what's up. We give you the scoop. This week we're going to be talking about our other date night this week, a spontaneous trip to the circus. We'll be reviewing the movie Reminiscence, and then after that we will be discussing a brief preview of next week's movie, which will be revealed at the end of the podcast. But let's get into it. The circus. You say you can neither confirm nor deny that Sunday's trip to the circus was your very first trip to the circus.
Yeah, I can't really remember specifically if I've ever been, but it definitely was worth it. And if you're thinking about going, you should definitely look up Circus Vargas online, because they're coming to a city near you. I know they headed up north to LA, Downey area.
Yeah.
And I thought it was really good. It was just so fun. And even though I've never been to a circus, but I feel like all the movies I've seen about circuses, like mainly The Greatest Showman, was definitely, something that was just sparking my interest more, because every time I saw something, I just looked at James and said, "This is the greatest show."
No, and when I was younger, I actually went to the Barnum and Bailey Circus, and I think they've since shut down. At first it was the elephants, and then it was all the animals, and then it was the whole show. But this show did not feature any animals. It was all acrobats, trapezes. There was a bit with trampolines and a bank building with cops and robbers going on. Mm-hmm. My favorite personally was the death cage. I don't know what you would call it. It was a metal ball with a sphere with two motorists, and they were going around in circles in this sphere, and it was very it must have taken a lot of coordination. But I tell you, I couldn't do it, but it was really impressive. The wheels glowed at one point. It was really cool. And then there was I believe Yellow Suit Guy. Mm-hmm. So a young kid who was like tying them to the current trends. He was definitely keeping a pulse on any trend that happened within the last 3 years. Mm-hmm. There was flossing. There was the ghosting of a car while dancing to the song "In My Feelings" by Drake, and much more.
That's called?
Yes, where you do the car drives. That's what the kids call it.
Oh, okay.
As far as I know. I'm hip, I know the terms.
I feel like those kids now would probably be like young adults, YAs.
Well, those kids were
right
back in 2018. Oh well, I don't know.
That's 3 years.
That is 3 years. You could exit middle school in that time. But anyways,
from a teenager to an adult in that time.
Would you recommend Circus Vargas to our loyal listeners?
I do recommend Circus Vargas, and we got a military discount, which was awesome. And they had student discounts, and they had senior citizen discounts.
They're looking out for everyone 18 to 99.
Yeah, I definitely think it's a fun date. It's different. They don't come in town all the time, so it's good to support them. All
right, let's get into this. We watched Reminiscence.
Hugh Jackman,
Thandie Newton. A good bit of star power relative to how I thought it would be. I definitely thought the movie meandered a lot. It's a 2-hour movie. It definitely could have been an hour and a half.
Like our last podcast episode?
Yes.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Definitely.
If you know, you know.
If you know, you know. But overall, I thought it was a solid movie. It's out on HBO Max as well, and I don't think I would have felt bad if I had just done that instead of going to the theater.
Yeah, I obviously like going to the theater because it's nice to just get out of like your norm for a second, get out of that environment, being somewhere new. But yeah, if you have an HBO Max subscription, I would just watch it there and do your laundry at the same time.
Exactly. Yeah. So this is where it happens. This is your last warning to get out while you can. If you've not seen the movie and you would like to watch it before listening to our review, we're going into effect with a spoiler alert. So get out while you can.
I don't know why the spoilers are scary.
I'm about to dive in. Well, they're scary because if you didn't want to know, then I guess now you know, but you didn't want to know. It's like non-consensual knowledge.
Okay, babe.
So let's get into it. I'll describe the plot this week. This one's really simple. I feel like I can take it. Maybe. Do you think?
I think it's simple enough for you, yeah.
Okay, good. So you've got Hugh Jackman. Mm-hmm. His character lives in the slums. So to paint the picture, we're in Miami. It's not LA. It's not New York, like one might have thought it would be.
Whoops.
So we're in Miami. Water has risen. The reason's not exactly outlined. One can draw many guesses as to why, but water's risen, and everything is awful unless you had money.
It's like a modern day Venice, to kind of put it into perspective.
Yeah, and so unless you had money during that war that broke out due to this event, you ended up in the water cities, and so that's where Hugh Jackman is, and he owns this Reminiscence machine. They call it the Reminiscence, where he takes people back to the past because that's the only thing worth watching. He meets this woman, as you see in the previews, and falls in love right away. Which, I mean, who wouldn't fall in love right away with a woman that they barely know? Who would do that?
I don't know, babe.
I don't know.
Sounds familiar.
But anyways, he knew she was the one, and so he pursued her. They dated for like 6-ish months. The timeline's not clear. We can.
It's like 3 to 4 months, maybe
something like that.
Yeah, a few months have gone by. We're
Suddenly,
guessing like a 6-month timeline.
Suddenly, she disappears. She's gone.
That's where you play the music.
That's where I do it. So she's gone, and
Gone Girl.
He doesn't know where she went. So he looks for her. It consumes him. He gets stuck going through the Reminiscence, just kind of like replaying all his memories to try and figure out where she went. And so after a while, it's just kind of, it's getting in the way of his daily existence, the way he interacts with people that are close to him. And suddenly one day there's a knock at the door to the company he operates, and one of her earrings is there. And so now he's hot on the trail, and suddenly after an hour of cinema, we finally have something to look forward to as the leads start pouring in. And suddenly she's being painted in this negative light. She wasn't who he thought he was. She was. And so eventually it comes around to the point where he finds her, or should I say discovers her fate. Right at the end, like a last second buzzer beater 3, suddenly she's a good person, and is only looking out for his best interest. Mm-hmm. She was kind of conned by her past into conning him, but in the process found someone that she genuinely liked in him, and was willing to die to protect or prevent her mistakes from affecting an innocent life. It's discovered that the rich people have this illegitimate kid, and they're trying to get him killed, but she saves him. And so the rich people get busted, and Hugh Jackman, as punishment for his role in it, because he does some bad things throughout, gets to live in the Reminiscence, reliving his memories with the love of his life, the one that he has always loved for 3 or 4 months. But what a 3 or 4 months it must have been to have a solid set of memories from it. But like I said, my big takeaway is that it was a little long. It meandered. Hugh Jackman was solid. All of the acting was pretty solid, and the scene setting was good. Mm-hmm. I didn't feel like it was like the very best movie I've ever seen, but there was definitely some solid storylines. What was your takeaways with May, who is Hugh Jackman's primary love interest in this one?
Like her as an actress, or like her the character?
Her the character.
I mean, I guess she's just like your typical, runaway, mysterious type of, Neanderthal that just kind of like moseys on from like place to place, kind of just like surviving really on who she is and what she can do. And in this case for her, up until later on in the movie, and she kind of says this in the movie of why she does fall in love with Hugh Jackman's character. She kind of just, she's gorgeous. And so her looks kind of take her pretty far. And she can sing, so she has some talent there. And so the reason why she did fall in love with Hugh Jackman was because he loved her for more than just her looks. He loved her for more than just what she could provide for him as a man and in a relationship. And so you kind of see her shift from this like feeble person of like protecting who she is and only looking out for herself to like being capable of like protecting someone else and giving up her life for someone else, which is a pretty big thing to do. I mean, for anybody to self-sacrifice.
No, exactly. I feel that.
She's got some dynamic and some change in there, which is cool to see.
Now, as I said before, the movie does kind of drag on.
You just got to make it to that point.
So when exactly do you feel like the movie becomes worthwhile?
I think, it's no surprise that she is connected to kind of like the drug world, so to speak, when that's discovered, I would say in the first third of the movie. I wasn't surprised at all. I definitely saw that coming because of where she lived in the area of Miami. And that's the thing. Hugh Jackman literally narrates everything. So if you were confused about some things, he pretty much clarifies it. But the things that you're really confused about, he never even talks about. So that's kind of there, like why the water's there in general. It's just kind of like, it is how it is. But anyways, him describing like the different parts of the city and where she's from, obviously, she has like a hard past or she's not very rich or well off. And so you kind of assume like, okay, she is waitressing. She kind of has this sultry feel to her. So maybe she's doing, other things to get money. Who knows? But when she is connected to the drug world, it's not a surprise. I think for me, when they brought back like this minor character, and
now
somehow
who was that minor? It was Elsa.
Yeah. So like she's in the beginning and she comes in for her like to see her memories all the time, pretty regularly. And at one point, like she just stops and like you see her in like maybe one scene, maybe two.
Yeah, they like comment on her being gone, but you don't really think
about her at all. And of course, like she comes back into play because she is, her memories were the ones that were stolen.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because May. Because May ends up stealing these memories because they end up saving these memories as files so that they can just replay them over and over again. Kind of like a little USB drive of saved memories that they've extracted from their mind and they've saved them for them so that every time they come back, it's like this fix of like, okay, let's play that specific memory. And so May ends up stealing a few memories, and the ones that are notably stolen are Elsa's. And it's just really random because you're like thinking, okay, she's stealing maybe Hugh Jackman's memories or somebody else, whatever. They're not really concerned about those. But then they're like, wait, Elsa's are missing. And then you're like, Elsa? That's random.
No, yeah, it's like, who cares about Elsa?
Yeah.
But then it's brought in that she, in fact, was had an affair with the main guy in this rich family that everyone doesn't like. And so that's where the illegitimate child comes in. And that's the reason that she was playing Nick, which is Hugh Jackman's character, was to get a hold of those files. It's not really clear if she got a hold of them to track down who the girl was, or if I think it was a disposal of evidence thing where they needed to get rid of any proof that this child existed before they took the child out.
Yeah, because you find later on that it's really not the man who monopolizes the whole city. That's what he does, and that's why nobody likes him, because he pretty much owns the whole city, hikes up the rent, and so nobody can pay the rent, so then the poor get poorer, the rich get richer.
Exactly.
Yeah. How society is about to crumble, in a sense. And so we find out later that the son is the one who's actually plotting this whole thing, and that's because he wants to inherit his father's fortune because his father is sick. Exactly. And apparently the father really does actually care about Elsa and really does care about this son, but you really don't know any of this until the very end. And so if you do stick it out and you do watch the whole thing, you are kind of pleasantly surprised by that twist.
It's a solid reveal.
Unless you just heard this before you watched it. But I would still...
Sorry. We warned you.
But it's kind of worth it to finish out the story in regards to, okay, cool. Like, I've never really seen a story kind of like this. You can kind of mix like Gone Girl with Inception. Some people were referring it to as like, I don't know, just like any kind of apocalyptic vibe, but like not, or dystopia type vibes.
Yeah,
but
no
like
doubt.
Not.
No, so as far as the resolution goes, what did you think of Hugh Jackman's ultimate ending in this movie, though?
Like his fate?
Yeah,
like
his
where
fate,
he ended?
like where he ends up.
I feel like for him, because, you know, his whole, like, life is devoted to this lady. And at some point, you're just kind of like, okay, he's doing this, he's obsessed, and I'm just going to let myself get invested for a little bit and just kind of see where it goes, because I don't really know why. I don't know. Maybe he's never been loved. We don't really know that much about him as a person.
Yeah, no.
It literally just tells us he was in the military and he's been extracting memories for a while.
Well, I mean, they do go deep into he's a veteran.
He's gotta have like PTSD, obviously,
yeah.
And so I think maybe that causes him this inability to connect with people, maybe on a deeper level. And so maybe this is the first time he's connected with somebody and has truly felt himself, which I get, right? That's hard to find.
Exactly.
And so he's just trying to hold on to like those feelings of that relationship at all costs. And so for him, because of what he does in order to find out what happens to May, he's basically put in prison for life.
Yeah.
And his prison, he cut a deal because he gave up some of the memories that he did extract before he committed this crime. And he ends up getting to replay his memories of May for the rest of his life. Yeah, whenever he wants. So I think it's a fitting, you know, it's appropriate punishment for this type of movie. I feel like it definitely is a more of a feel-good vibe. I think it would have been okay if he just died as well.
Yeah, exactly.
And then his memory lived on in his friend's mind. I thought that would have been a little bit more...
It could have been
in depth. I felt that like that would have been more of a, okay, like a moment of wow, okay, he did all that and he loved her so much that he just really went for it and put himself out there and solved this whole mystery. And maybe this could be like a testament to like his mental health and just being obsessed over that to the point of his death. But really it was just kind of his demise, but like not. So I think it was kind of a sweet ending because he was doing that anyways before he committed this crime. He was already replaying the memories of her over and over again. So nothing in his life really changed. And judging by those like jail cells, they looked really futuristic and pretty awesome. So I think he's going to be okay.
No, yeah, that's fine. Now speaking on
it was
death,
like a somewhat not happy ending.
I feel like it was fitting.
What is it
though.
called when you
Bittersweet?
Yeah, like a bittersweet ending.
Yeah.
For him anyways.
Yeah.
As a viewer, I would say I probably would have preferred him to die.
I don't know. I mean,
like in this just dramatic.
I feel like he gets what he wants because
Romeo
he helped
and Juliet
solve
moment,
a big
maybe?
case. I don't know.
Yeah, you want to reward the hero, but that's like what every movie does. You reward the hero. So if you're trying to make this groundbreaking movie, which I feel like with this type of script, you kind of want to make it groundbreaking, like Inception, right?
Yeah.
We don't know if he ends up like going back to real life or to his family. And so you're kind of left in this moment of like, I'm talking about Inception now, and kind of in this moment of like, does he go back with his family or is he in his limbo, right?
Yeah.
And you assume he's in the limbo because I think up until that point,
the pin or the thing doesn't fall.
Yeah, the token doesn't fall.
Yeah.
And so you kind of just like, okay, he's okay with being in limbo, but I mean, what did he think was going to happen? Right. And I think with Hugh Jackman's character, it was a little unrealistic for him to just kind of like, I don't know, get what he wanted in the end. Although like his lover, should we just say it, May, did die.
No, yeah.
And that's what he found out.
That was what I wanted to talk about next, was like, how did you feel about that? Was that like the only way that could have ended?
Yeah. I mean, either they brought her back and it was like this cheesy ending that is like, okay, no one really survives like that type of world because it's more or less like, you know, like that drug world. It's like you get killed if you betray anybody. I mean, that's like the bottom line. If you want to stand firm to those, you know, that realness of that, it would just be highly unrealistic for her to just be set free.
Yeah.
I think, in my opinion.
No, I agree.
So,
I mean, either she's good and she dies, or she's
and
bad.
She like double crossed or out-conned the people that she was hired to con.
Exactly.
For, which would be cool too. But I think at that point, you're already 2 hours in. I mean, you got to have this dramatic. You got to have this big ending. Yeah, it's something has to give. And I think for her death, that was definitely necessary.
Yeah, I definitely think she either had to be good and die, or had to be bad and be revealed to be bad in front of him and then die.
Yeah.
There was no way she lived through that. What did you think of the movie from a more like analytical, more like production perspective?
I thought the production value seemed to be all right. For I don't even know how much it costs, but I definitely think visually it's really pretty. I think cinematically, you know, the shots are really cool. They do create like this whole world that's underwater. And I think the way that they did that was really clever. How they came across the water, and you're like, okay, this is the ocean, right? And we're going to hit a city. Oh no, wait, the water's still going and it's still there. So I think creating that world for us and establishing that setting was awesome. I think that color-wise, it was really pretty. The colors were really not warm. They're really cool with like lots of blues and grays. And so you knew it was kind of this like sci-fi nitty-gritty type style film, which was awesome. There's a lot of like vintage flair to it as well, which I've looked up different reviews, and a lot of people commented on the noir effect of that, of how it was kind of like a little old school meets like this post major event world. You know, you kind of say apocalyptic, but I mean, the world doesn't seem like it's ending.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Just kind of like redefining their new normal. So I think in that aspect it was good. I think the screenplay concept was good. Like I said, it kind of reminds me of like Gone Girl. It kind of reminds me of Inception. It kind of reminded me of a lot of different movies. But I think like, you know, ultimately like the plots and twists and turns, like if I were just like reading it on a note card, like one event after another, I would think it's a good movie. But I think like the pacing for me wasn't there. Some of the shots were just kind of weird. Like when he's like, he goes and finds that, like, I don't even know, the drug dealer that's in New Orleans, right?
He goes
also going from Miami to New Orleans in like
a couple
2
hours.
seconds in the movie, obviously, but it doesn't really give an accurate timeline, because it seems like he leaves when it's, you know, midday, and he gets there around midday. So I think like the continuity in a lot of those things were just not there. I think at one point he
maybe
like walks
like
in the door.
Train.
Yeah, maybe they created bullet trains that look like the Metrolink. I don't know. So like at one point he walks into the door, and then he goes out the same door, and it's his shop instead of like being outside. So that's why I thought like, oh, is all of this illusion? And then I thought, oh, is this going to get even deeper? Like this is Inception. Like he's going to be stuck in his illusion, because he kind of narrated to the fact that you could get stuck in your illusion. And I thought like that, at points he was. And I thought like him eternally getting stuck in his illusion as his reality would have been cooler, kind of ripping off Inception. But what movies don't rip off other movies? Let's be real.
I mean, if it's proven to be good, it's good.
I think that would have been better than him like just being like content with going to jail, because he had really no one else in his life anyways prior to that. He was already going in the tank, that's what he calls it, the tank, to see May over and over again. So really,
yeah, what
nothing
more
changed.
Was there? No, and the movie only pulled $2 million on opening weekend. It was very abysmal.
Yeah.
I think hyped it up more in my head. I didn't really read a lot of reviews going into it.
Baby, you were all about it.
Yeah, I know. And so I feel like I picked a bus this week, which is why Courtney gets the pick next week. But what are the reviews looking like on this movie before we get into our score?
Well, you know, the Metascore, which is something that I kind of like to read on IMDb, because it kind of compiles all the critics' scores and kind of gives you just this basic overall score. So this week it's a 46, and it's yellow. I don't really ever like to watch any of the movies that are yellow, because you know they're not that great. Definitely don't watch the movies that are red. But yeah, 46 on the Metascore. So that means that some people kind of liked it, thought it was kind of okay. Again, reading some reviews, people did like the colors, people did like the cinematography. People love that it was a female director, things like that. But yeah, I think the story just kind of fell flat. I think that the pacing kind of fell flat. And I mean, there's a few people you could probably hold accountable to that, but really, I mean, it's got a 5.9 on IMDb. That's with user ratings, which means the general public doesn't really like it.
They liked it enough to give it $2 million.
You know.
All right. So on a scale of 1 to 7, let's not go at the same time this week. I want to hear what you have to say because I know what my score is. But on a scale of 1 to 7, where are you at?
I would say probably like a 3.5.
Oh wow!
Or a 3.
This week we differ again. I was gonna go with more of like a 4.5.
Ooh, really?
I thought while it dragged on that the it was compelling and it kept my attention. I guess no, it's more like a 4.
Okay.
Because I want to give it. That's the thing, is that I liked it enough that I want to give it that half.
Is it because you picked the movie?
I wanted it to be good because I picked it. Yes. I've had bad luck.
When I saw the trailer, I was like, oh, why are we going to go watch a movie about a man that's obsessed with a woman that he's only known for a short amount of time? I don't get it.
I saw myself in him.
Okay.
No, I've had bad luck with picking movies. You can ask a lot of the guys that I served with.
I also like going on IMDb and reading the titles of user reviews. If you have not done that, oh my gosh, please do that. On these ones, I'll just read you a few. One of them said, cured my insomnia. Yeesh. Reminiscing the days when studio released good movies. Oof. Nope, I don't like it. Lost in every way possible. Whoever greenlit this, whatever it is, needs to be fired. Okay, so that doesn't tell you what some general public are. I mean, and that's the thing, like movies, there's so many aspects to movies and elements that you really can't appreciate the work and art of what people are doing. But at some point, yeah, there are some things that, you know, if you don't have the time to waste 2 hours to kill, you might want to just pass. But
I agree.
I think it's definitely worth watching because the story is kind of interesting.
I mean, and you're getting your movie review from a woman who is very well educated in movies and a guy who thinks that Battleship is the 3rd best movie he's ever seen. So,
but if you really want to know my opinion, just go watch Gone Girl and Inception and call it a day. I mean, those two are mind-blowing in itself. No
doubt. Yeah, I thought it was all right. I don't know. I wouldn't have paid to see it again if I had known what it was. I probably would have just gone on HBO Max, like I said. But that brings us to our close. So next week we'll be watching Respect, which we both know a good bit about. You know, RESPCT.
Tell me.
Find out what it means to me.
Yeah, that one. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Aretha
I'm excited.
Franklin.
You know. This one's Courtney's pick, so as I said, you can trust that it'll probably be good. 1, because it's been out longer and it's more well vetted, but 2, because Courtney has divine taste in movies, and I trust her with my life when it comes to picking a good movie.
Time. I still like Neverending Story.
Neverending Story is a classic.
Oh, okay. Well, it's a little controversial on if it's actually good or not, but yeah.
If it's good or not. I mean, once again, you're talking to a guy that thinks Battleship is the 3rd best movie he's ever seen.
3rd to what?
Forrest Gump and The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. So, but anyway, what are your early impressions on Respect?
All right. Well, according to IMDb, they've got a 63 Metascore. That's in the green. So that's what we want to go for. We want to get those green movies because then we know that at least critics like it. And critics obviously are just a few people that watch it, write their opinion, but they do this for a living. You know, they get paid to do this. And so they're going to give us their honest opinion. They see movies all the time. So they're always looking for something new and fresh. This is obviously a, you know, biography type story about Aretha Franklin. I've always liked her. And it's got an all-star cast: Jennifer Hudson, Forrest Whitaker, Audra McDonald, tons of people in this. Hopefully there's music. You know, I love music in movies. Users love it. They gave it a 7.0. You know, some people were a little mean about it, but most of the people seem to generally like it. I heard that it was pretty intense, you know, and I heard that some people didn't want to watch it more than once, but they were glad that they saw it. So hopefully we can come back next week and let you know how we thought about it, and hopefully it's a winner.
Hopefully. And hopefully you've enjoyed listening to this podcast as much as we've enjoyed making it.
So much fun.
This has been my lovely wife, Courtney.
Bye.
I have been James Roy. This has been the Noise Date Night Edition. And tune in next week. We'll be reviewing Respect. So we'll see you next week. Bye.